Let me throw in one more question in relation to this, real quick. Uh, with all of this, we're going to have to go because we're running out of time. But I do want to ask you one thing. Given the understanding now that we have been created, but our creators look like us, or we actually look like them, is it possible that some of the people who are behind the powers that be, when we talk about the proverbial powers that be, who are making the decisions for the world, could it be that this is these Anunnaki, or these extraterrestrial ones who look like us? Because we've heard so many stories about, how these extraterrestrials look like humans,
The reptilians.
the reptilians or whatever. But the whole idea, I'm asking Lloyd, do you think that there's something to this idea that maybe the human race is being run at the very top by some of these entities who actually, in fact, were part of the creators of who we are?
I don't know. I can't say. I can't swear to it. But it's not impossible. Why would they, if people say, why did they leave? And Sitchin would always say, who says they did? And I kind of take that attitude, too. We can't really be sure that they did. I can say this, though. If indeed they are the, quote, heavenly ones or the angels, they have that glow about them. And this is something that people often forget relative to the Anunnaki. But they had a physical glow about themselves. They had a different kind of aura than we do. You could see that. Humans could see it. That's how you knew they were a god, and to be reverent to them. And I explain that. People say, well, how would that be? In their planet, Nibiru, it's most of its time out in very deep, deep space with no sun, no heat source. So it would have to have an internal heat source like we do. I mean, it's common to have internal heat sources with planets, so that's not the hard part. The hard part would be light. So what did they do for light? Well, I think that they had, like a couple of our planets do in our solar system, they had a kind of phosphorescent kind of glow to them. That their air, their everything had to have some kind of phosphorescent glow about it so that there was very low light and they could see. Live their lives and have enough light coming off of that to allow their bodies to function. Otherwise, you have to explain it with they were part of a second sun, a smaller sun, and there's a twin sun out there, and that Nibiru is not exactly like Sitchin described, but it is more like what Andy Lloyd talks about, a planet orbiting a smaller sun that comes through. Either way you look at it, they are going to be different than us physiologically and biologically to a certain degree that gives them a physical aura. They vibrate, their bodies function biochemically at a different level than we do and give off that aura. So they would be hard to recognize if we saw one walking down. Wouldn't be hard to recognize if we saw one walking down the street. You'd notice, oh boy, that looks like an angel. With the halo and all that. That's where the halo came from. As much as there are so many halo stories of angels, not halos, but so many glowing stories of angels and all of that, I have to accept that is indeed how they looked. And if that's the case, then they would have to rule us in hiding to a degree. You couldn't have, maybe they shapeshift the way David Icke says. I don't know. But
I don't know either. But you're right. Anything's possible. And with that kind of technology, with a race that is far superior to us, who the hell knows? I mean, anymore,
Exactly.